get it. Never gets old. This is my 2014 Mustang GT. It is a base model package. It's a used car, of course, but it's a base model. Now, that just means you don't have all your amenities like the premium package would have, like your digital gauge in the middle. I don't have a shaker sound system, but it's okay because it's a 5.0 with a stick shift. So, yeah. Now, before this car, I had a 2009 Celine Racecraft 420S. Not a lot of people knew about it, but it was a pretty cool car because no one knew about it. It was pretty rare, and it was boosted, but it was a 3-valve. Now, for those non-Mustang viewers, when I say 3-valve, I mean a 2005 through 2009 Mustang GT. They had what we like to call a 3-valve engine, 3 valves per cylinder. Now, they're good engines. They're all right, but they're nowhere near as good as the Coyote in these cars. Now, Coyotes came out in 2011, and they're going through this day. Now, from the factory, this car makes 420 horsepower at the crank, and I would say roughly 360 at the wheel. Roughly. I've never had a dyno, and I'm going okay. And my 3-valve before this one made about the same, but it was boosted. It had forced induction on it, in other words. It had about 4 or 5 pounds of boost on it, and it made about 420 at the crank and about 360 at the wheel. Now, I've never driven a 5.0 when I went to go get this one. And when I got in it, I was expecting it to drive a little bit like my 3-valve, but a little bit different, of course, because it's a bigger engine. But when I got in it, I was shocked at how smooth this car is, because my 3-valve was boosted, so whenever you would downshift and hit it, it would punch you in the face because it had like so much power for that little engine. But with this one, it's more of a gradual climb than my 3-valves knock you in your face 420 horsepower. Let's go back to the 3-valve for a second. The 3-valve was a good engine if you just wanted to cruise around town and have a little bit of fun. But if you wanted to make, say, 600 horsepower, let's just say 600. A 3-valve would have to have so much more money dumped into it than a Coyote would. See, this one's naturally aspirated and it makes the same amount of power as my boosted 3-valve did. Now think about all the money you put into that 3-valve just to make that little bit of power. About 420 horsepower. Now with this one, it comes with that power, but it's naturally aspirated. So, I mean, if I put the same amount of money I put into a 3-valve into a Coyote, I can make 600 horsepower, roughly. That's what these cars make on a little bit of boost. Now back to this car. Now these cars, when they came out in 2013 or 2011, depending on what body style you're talking about, they caught a lot of hate because the interiors still had a lot of hard plastics in them. Now, it just comes down to your taste. I mean, if you like a Mustang, for it being a Mustang, interior shouldn't matter, honestly. And most of the stuff in here, even though this is a base model package, it's still got a lot of soft, like the dash is soft. Basically it's all like cushiony rubber up here. So it's nice up here, but I mean, you still got plastic. Still got plastic here, but the inserts right here on the door are pretty nice, even for a base model. And basically, I mean, when it just comes down to it, it just comes down to your taste. When the S550, or in other words, the 2015 Mustang came out, their interiors were way ahead of this body style Mustang, but it's the same engine. But with me, I went with this car because, one, I'm 19 and I can't afford a brand new 2015 Mustang that has low miles. And two, I just don't care. This interior is plenty nice enough for me, because you got to keep in mind, I came from a 2009 Mustang, and that interior in that car, it doesn't matter where you hit. Like, you would run over a bump and you hear like the whole car rattle, and you just sit there like, I think everything's okay, but I don't know. And it was all right. It wasn't the best interior. The seats were leather, but that was about it. The shift knob was a little bit leather, but it was tearing apart. It was just old. It was time to get rid of it. I mean, the smart thing to do with any car is to drive it like you have some sense, and then gradually ease into it. Also, since this is the 6-speed in the Coyote motors, this is, in other words, the MT82. And this transmission catches a lot of hate from everyone. And I'm not gonna lie, it is a weak transmission. But I will argue that it's all in how you drive the car. If you like redline it and then dump the clutch and then power shift each gear, what do you expect? I mean, even the strongest transmission over time is gonna break from that. The MT82, if you power shift it, it's like glass, it'll shatter. But I've seen people make around 650 horsepower to the wheel with a stock MT82, besides the clutch and a few minor upgrades to beef it up a little bit. But it's still a stock transmission in these cars, and they haven't broke it. And I'm sitting there on YouTube like, why are people giving this transmission so much hate? And then I drove one, and it drives fine. The stock shifter in this car, which this car is bone stock, it's got 60,000 miles on it, and it's down to the T, bone stock. When I say bone stock, I mean doesn't have a cold air intake, doesn't have exhaust, doesn't have a new shifter. It's literally how it rolled from the factory. Factory springs, factory suspension, everything. And it drives just fine. It's a very smooth car. Like I said, you just gotta drive the transmission with a little bit of common sense. Like, if you want to race someone, then you might need to invest in a T56 swap. But if you're just daily driving, like I do with this car, it's my daily driver, and you just want to have a little bit of fun, but you don't want to freaking do 9-second quarter miles, it's all for you, man. MT82 is not bad. It's weak, but it's not bad. The exhaust is stock. I mean, with the stock exhaust, it's really quiet when it idles, but if you have the windows up and you're driving, it sounds pretty decent. Because, I mean, you got the exhaust note, and the engine's got variable valve timing, so when you get on it a little bit, you can hear the engine like growl. It's got a really, really nice sound to it. It's a throaty V8. That's a good word for it. These cars love to make sound. Like, if you throw an axle back on here, you're making a lot of sound as is. And not to mention, if you throw a X-pipe on here, an off-road X-pipe, if you throw an off-road X-pipe with axle backs and stock headers, dude, you will ruin people's day. It's that loud. I am so glad I remembered that, because I almost took the wrong turn. See, like, that's 5th gear with stock mufflers, and you literally can't hear a thing. Oh, a bridge. If only I had aftermarket mufflers to make a sound under. And a lot of people, like, don't like the Mustang because it's so generic of a car. And I would argue that it's generic, yes, but it's been around since the 60s. And it's a very loved car. So, plus, for the amount of money that you spend on these cars, especially a used one like this one, you get a lot of good, like, really good power for what you pay. Like, that's why the 3-valve is not that popular anymore, because you still see low mileage ones. If you want a low mileage one, they still go for like 12,000 for a low mileage 3-valve, if I'm remembering that right. But for a low mileage, like, say 50 to 60,000 miles Coyote, which is relatively low, it's not a lot, but it's not a little bit, just a rough estimate, but 2011 and 12 is a lot cheaper than this body style. I just like this body style because it looks classic to me. Come on, car! Get around me! Come on! Do it now! But for the amount of money, like a 2011 to 12 Mustang, you're looking at maybe 14 through 16,000 for that, around that mileage. And for that amount of power, plus the reliability factor, the 3-valve couldn't handle as much power as this one, because this is a 4-valve per cylinder engine. It's got variable valve timing. They're very reliable engines. I mean, what more can you ask for? And it makes 420 horsepower, and it's reliable. Minus the shifter. I'm getting about the same gas mileage as it was with my 3-valve too. Roughly about 15 to 20. Because I like to have fun, but I like to drive like a grandpa sometimes. I will say the stock shifter is hard to find third gear sometimes. It really is. You go to shift and you're like, fourth, fifth, what the? It's like, it falls on its face a little bit. So definitely in the future, that right there is going to have to be fixed. But it's not bad. Because my Celine had a short shifter in it. This one doesn't. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you go from second to third, you're like, oh God, where is it? Wait a minute. I think I took the wrong turn. Let me turn around and go back. Excuse me. Just a lost person right here. Yeah, I missed my turn. Speedy! There's third. I am not gonna say how fast I was. That was ridiculous. Now let's go down the right road. Did I take another wrong turn? Let me just turn in right here. I will get back to this video in just a second. I gotta make a phone call. Yo, bro, where the heck do you live? Alright, guys. I'm actually gonna be there in just a second. I'm gonna go and end the video right here. Be on the lookout for the next video. It'll be the first mod that I'm gonna do to this car. It's gonna be pretty fun. Catch you later.